Hola.
Welcome back. Well, today we want to talk about the new VAT for Ecuador that starts April 1st. VAT stands for Value Added Tax. It's one of those terms that you'll hear everywhere except for the United States, really. We were in Europe and they had VAT. All the countries down here in South America, Central America, they all have VAT. That tax is added to certain goods and services, but not all. There's a category of things that have zero VAT and things that have the standard 12% VAT. Currently, the VAT is going to go up to 15%, and from what we can tell, it's temporary, and then it'll be a permanent 13%. So it's going to be a permanent 1% raise in the tax after the 15% has gone back down to 13.
That's what it's been stated. We don't know for a fact.
Right. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
The reason that's going to go up to make the jump to 15% is because of the armed conflict in the country, and the president says that he wants to have enough funding to help fund the military and security and intelligence services throughout the country. So that's the reason for the bigger jump initially.
Well, since you brought that up, it was stated on a site that during President Noboa's campaign, he had stated he would not increase the VAT.
Okay.
Yeah, because he confronted his rival Luisa when she said she was stating that she was going to raise it to 14% and that he wasn't going to do that.
Right.
But now, with everything that's happening on April 1st, we are going to see a 15% VAT.
Correct. And this is where, you can either put on your tinfoil conspiracy hat or not.
Where people are saying that this was planned.
Right. You could say that, well, Noboa knew from a political standpoint, saying that while he was running for president, saying that he was going to raise the tax on certain goods wouldn't have been good for his campaign, while secretly wanting to do it. And,
allegedly.
Right. And either the incident happened at the television station, and it just so happened that fit right into Noboa's plan to raise the VAT anyway, where he could say, well, look, now we have this armed conflict, Fito escaped prison. I need to raise the VAT, not because I want to, but because we need to.
To secure money to hire more military forces, right, police,
and intelligence. So, yeah, you could say that it's really convenient that happened, or it's just all a huge coincidence.
Things happen like that.
I'll take the hat off.
Things happen like that, you never know.
Yeah. So what will be affected by the VAT increase? Before we even get into that, one of the reasons that we live here in Ecuador is the cost of living. It is very affordable. So what are the things that are going to be affected, and how would they actually even affect us? So the government has a list of food items that do and do not include VAT. And there are some of those food items that are going to go up with the new VAT. Those include ice cream, cookies, snacks, candies, chocolates, chewing gum, soluble coffee, so like instant coffee, fruit juices, soft drinks, cocoa, aromatic herbs, energizing and moisturizing drinks.
Also, there would be prepared cereals, jellies, dressing, mayonnaise, mayo, tomato sauce, mustard, and any prepared condiments. Prepared baby food.
The most consumed items here in Ecuador, which include rice, cheese, sausage, chicken, meat, flour, eggs, milk, oats, oil, fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, tubers, will not see an increase in prices for with the new increase in VAT. And there are items here that have a zero VAT automatically and wouldn't be subject to the increase anyway. So for the most part, let's go back and talk about the things that are included. Let's talk about how some of these increased VAT items would affect us from a budget standpoint. Honestly, they don't, because we rarely buy ice cream. We don't buy any ice cream in the store.
We really don't buy any processed foods, basically.
Yeah, so cookies and snacks isn't really an issue. That's just every once in a while.
We do buy some fruit juices, but I guess it will affect us minimally.
Right, because they only cost less than $1 for the bottle anyway.
Right.
Soft drinks, we don't really buy sodas that often.
But you got your condiments like mayo, mustard,
right, we do buy
ketchup.
those.
Yeah.
And it's not, I want to specify here, the increase isn't a 15% increase. it's going from 12% to 15%. So there's already a 12% tax included.
So it's just a 3%
Yeah,
increase.
it's a 3% increase.
Considering the minimum salary here is $475 a
Right.
month, it may seem like a significant increase to someone who's making that.
Right, especially that, something that, we notice here is that people will buy, in the States, we typically buy things like in bulk, where we'll buy like a huge container or something, or a lot of something, where here, a lot of times people just buy enough to last for a few days, where you end up buying more of that item over time, and you end up paying more taxes on it. So if they're paying for what they can afford, which is, let's say, the smaller ketchup container, well, it's not going to last as long. They got to go back and get another one sooner. You end up spending more in tax, but that's the only one they can afford because it's the least expensive one.
Right.
And it's kind of a cycle. It happens in the United States, happens in poor neighborhoods where the local stores sell things that are smaller
At a
higher price, and you end up having to come back for it more often. So how it actually affects us, it doesn't affect us that much because we don't buy a lot of these items that often. Of course, we don't need baby food, but for someone who does, like, I can see that that would be an issue.
Yeah. For some of the items that you will see a 3% increase on are also personal hygienes and clothing. So if you're looking to like brush your teeth with toothpaste, shampoos, and those things, deodorants, there's going to be an increase on those items as well.
Now, this VAT increase will also affect the cost of cell phones, desktops, computers, laptops, printers, tablets, speakers, cameras, and TVs. So when you're talking about things that are more high ticket items, that VAT increase does make a significant difference. You're talking about a $400, $500, $600 TV or a computer. That extra 3% does add up.
So for foreigners, us expats that move here, and like some places you rent may not have a washer and dryer. So if you're looking to buy a washer or dryer, there's going to be a 15% VAT tax applied to those. Electric showers, air conditioners, fans, ovens, refrigerators.
So everything related to vehicles will also get an increase of VAT up to the 15%. Those who buy a car, motorcycle, bicycle will receive a higher bill, as well as anyone buying batteries, lubricating oils, tires, and shock absorbers. So basically anything involved in automotive accessories or vehicles is going to go up to the 15%.
Now it states that fuel such as diesel, extra, and super will rise respectively 5 cents, 6 cents, and 10 cents per gallon with the new percentage of the value added tax.
Back in 2016, after the major earthquake, Ecuador increased its VAT to 14% temporarily, and in June of the following year, it went back down to the 12% that it currently is until April 1st of 2024.
Countries that are surrounding Ecuador have a higher VAT standard rate, like Argentina. They have a 21% standard rate. Brazil has a 18% standard rate, and Colombia has a 19% standard rate.
So how much does the Ecuadorian government estimate they will make from this VAT increase? It's supposed to be about 1.3 billion. That's supposed to be enough to handle the securities concerns, but not enough to pay down the country's debt. That's a whole nother issue. It is supposed to be a permanent 13%, but we're not sure when the 15 is going to go back down to 13. So that's something we'll have to figure out, and if we get that information, we'll make sure we put that out in the future.
So since Noboa is temporarily the president for right now for what, 2 years?
It was less than that.
But what do you think if he gets reelected and becomes president, do you think he may hold this 15% VAT because he sees that it is helping bring down the debt, it's helping combat crime, helping with military support and intelligence?
This is one of those things where for Noboa, this whole crisis can be really good for him politically if it's handled correctly.
Right.
So if, let's say, people right now maybe aren't that happy about the VAT increase, but let's say crime is significantly reduced while he's running for re-election. Well, he can always say that, well, because of the increase in the VAT, we were able to do this. This is why your streets are safer. This is why crime is going down, blah, blah, blah. I mean, people will probably eat it up. And he may try to justify like, okay, well, we need to keep the increase going or just drop back down to the permanent 13%. I mean, it's all kind of in his hands at that point.
Right.
But I do think that depending on how it works out, if the VAT is increased and then crime starts to spike again, then that argument won't work.
Right.
So I really it's one of those things we gotta wait and see what happens with it, honestly.
Okay, so on March 8th, the president extended the state of emergency for 30 days. Now, hopefully, the crime stays minimal.
Lower, yeah.
Minimal, because if it doesn't, and you're having this increase, there's going to be
there's going to be some issues, and politically he'll have to navigate that himself. He already said some things, whether it was accidental or on purpose, during an interview about like Ecuadorians need to work harder, that a lot of Ecuadorians didn't really appreciate. He's got to learn. He's got to learn from this that since he grew up wealthy, he grew up in the States. He grew up from a rich family. He doesn't necessarily have the same point of view as a lot of Ecuadorians. Just like we don't. There are certain things that we see that we might take for granted that Ecuadorians don't. And I really think that, depending on how this works out, this VAT increase had better benefit the people of Ecuador in some way, or it's going to be bad politically for him. That's just what I think. So thanks for watching. Make sure you check out our other channels, our merch store. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon.
Bye.
Bye.